Melanie supports her clients through her 7 Steps to Business Success with Confidence and Clarity program, which has transformed her clients to inspire change and growth in themselves, businesses, and careers. Melanie has built her business both here in Australia and back home in the UK, and is able to divide her time between both countries. Please welcome our next amazing speaker, Melanie Wood.
Thank you, Charlotte. Good afternoon, ladies. How are we all going? Excellent. Yes, it is getting to that time of day, right? When it's either a coffee, a wine, green tea, right? So everybody, I'm going to get everybody to stand up for me. Just to get the energy in the room before we go into our next break. So I'm just going to get everybody to do a big stretch. Excellent. Give the person beside you a big massive hug. Tell them they're amazing. All right, ladies, sit tight. Well done. So, ladies, how many of you would love to be able to find your voice and become a fearless speaker? And that doesn't mean to step up onto the stage. This means that whether it's to a friend, to a co-worker, to step up at a meeting, to go for that promotion, to step out of your comfort zone at a networking event, a social event, run your first presentation or workshop. How many of you ladies would love to be able to do that and have less fear? Excellent. Well, I am in the right room, which is great. So I'd love to be able to share a bit more of a story about myself and how I became a fearless speaker. Would that be okay to share with everybody? Now, just firstly, before I get into that, how many of you remember that person, whether it was younger, whether it was a few years ago, where you just remember being fearless in every area of your life, and you would just get up in the morning and go for it? Does anybody relate to that? And then life happened, and suddenly the fear just started to step in and take over. Anybody relate to that? So this person here used to be the most fearless person I'd ever known prior to that day. Because being fearless and a speaker was just, it wasn't an option. She just knew how to do that. Up until this very day, the day that she got married in 2004. Now, if you haven't noticed already, that person's me. So, this was me on my wedding day in 2004. I was 21 years old, and I was in the Dominican Republic. And I was about to marry the man, not of my dreams, but of my nightmares. And I was all alone in the Dominican Republic with no way to get out of that. I learned that to be fearless was never going to be an option for me. I learned not to have friends. I learned not to see my family much. And I learned to basically have work and home. And at that particular time, in a workplace, I didn't really get on with a lot of the people that was there, due to the fact of what was going on for me behind closed doors, that me personally was putting on a coping mechanism. So a lot of my behaviours that I'm not proud of, however, it was just what I had to do to survive. Because for 6 years, I went to work and it wasn't a pleasant place. I went home and it wasn't a pleasant place either. To the point where I had to make a decision to whether I wanted to be here or not. Because I knew that if I stayed in that relationship, that I wouldn't be here today. Because A, I would have either taken my own life, or he would have put me there. And up until this day, this person here, Karen came into my life. This amazing person, she took the courage, she stepped up, and she became a fearless person and speaker. Karen and I were colleagues, and I had been in that workplace for a couple of years. And I was so good every morning of putting on that mask, going to work like my life was perfect. I kept that mask on, and nobody had the barrier up. No one could ever break through that. But obviously my behaviour was quite aggressive, quite demanding, quite direct with people, to the point that people just didn't even want to come and ask me anything because they weren't sure how I was going to respond or react to those people. And however, Karen was different. And one day I just couldn't take it any longer. And by the time I got to work, I was so exhausted. And the mask dropped a little bit. And Karen was there on hand. And you know, she took that split second to be a fearless person, to take her shoes off. She walked over to me and she put mine on. And she said, "Melanie, is everything okay?" And I said, "No." And I became a fearless person and speaker to say no. Because prior to that, I was so scared of telling anybody that life wasn't okay. Because I was scared of the next step. I was scared of what would potentially happen to me at home for someone else to find out what was happening. And I did, and I told Karen. And Karen is different because she had experienced what I was going through. So she was able to then take my hand, and for an entire year, she walked me through step by step to build the confidence, to build the strength, to build everything that I needed to walk away from that marriage. Because when Karen opened up to me, I wasn't ready to do that. And she knew that I wasn't ready to do that. So she had the empathy, the emotional intelligence to know that all she needed to do was be there for me, to guide me through that. And Karen is the reason that I stand here before every single one of these amazing ladies. And Karen is the reason that I am alive today. And I owe so much of my life to Karen. And after I did leave, I vowed that I would spend the rest of my day becoming the person that I am today to help other people. But you know, I did nothing for 12 years. I hated the world, right? I blamed everybody for everything that had happened to me. And for 12 years, I might as well have still been in that marriage, because I was tied to that marriage anyway, because I hated everybody. I blamed family, I blamed friends for never being there for me, even though they didn't know, but I still blamed them. And it wasn't until I actually decided that my external life needed to change. Because what had been happening for around 15, 20 years, I was in chronic pain, I was collapsing, I was ending up in hospital all the time. And there was no explanation to what was going on. And it's only really until the last 7 years that I've realized that it was because of what was going on in my external world to what was happening internally. I was living in fight and flight mode for so many years. So for some of you in here might know what that's like, to be going through different illnesses, and some of those things are still there for me today. But at the time, I didn't know, and I was doing the best that I could with what I knew and what I had. The one thing I did change was my workplace, because I knew something had to change. I changed the workplace, which did help. However, my mindset and my mental capabilities hadn't changed. And the reason that I share that with everybody here today is because I want to highlight the importance of sharing stories. By being vulnerable, by being fearless, to be able to do what Karen did for me. To take the courage, and especially in workplaces, we have that we're being busy, or that person is acting up, so we just avoid them, like in what happened to me. And I want you to take a moment, and I want you to think of that one person in your life that absolutely infuriates you. You come home at the end of the day and you say to your family, "That person's really annoying me." But we never take the time to take our shoes off and put the other person's on. So I want you to take a moment and just think of somebody potentially in your life that frustrates you, that might anger you, and you think, do you know what, let's just see whether or not you've got a story that you could share with them, or you could ask them for their story. To ask them, are they okay? Because we never know what goes on behind closed doors. And people are very good at wearing masks. And I know that I was, definitely. So take some time to be able to do that. Share what Karen did for me to help someone else. And 7 years ago, I had this opportunity to come to Australia. And I knew that if I didn't change, nothing in my life would ever change. So one of my friends was coming, and I took that with both hands, because I knew the external environment that I was in needed to change for my internal environment to change. And I took that opportunity and I came to Australia. I then started working with a coach, because I knew that in order for me to stand here today and help other women, I needed to do the work inside of me. So for any of you in the audience that really wants to step up and help other people, it starts inside of you. To be able to work that out, to then be able to help other people. So I was with a coach at the time, and what he really wanted me to do was, he wanted me to step up and go back to my ex-husband and make contact after 12 years and forgive him. And I thought, yeah, that'll be right. That's not going to happen. And he said, well, that's up to you. If you want to do what you want to do in life, you have to be different. And you have to show people what's possible and give other people permission. And I said, well, how am I going to find him? I'm in Australia and he's in Scotland. And he said, get on Facebook. And I said, I know what kind of person he is. He's not going to be on Facebook. And he's like, give me your phone. What's his name? And we looked him up, and oh my God, he was on Facebook. And I thought, I have no other excuses to be able to get out of this. And he said, there you go, come back and see me in a couple of weeks and let me know how you get on. So anyway, I went home, and has anybody else ever kind of pushed themselves out of their comfort zone and went to message someone, not necessarily an ex-boyfriend or partner, and you type, you delete, you type, you delete. This went on for 2 weeks. And eventually, I just thought, I need to just do this. And I went, hey, how are you? After 12 years, right? What else did he say? Plus, we weren't friends on Facebook. So you know when you're not friends on Facebook and you send a message, do they ever get it? Right? So I hit the send button 2 days later before I got a response. And he said, what do you want? I thought, okay, well, I wasn't really surprised on that answer. And I thought, this is my moment to do what my coach had walked me through. To send my blessing, to love him, to send him on his way, and forgive him. And it's what I needed to do at the time. And I did. He never took responsibility for anything that he did. I didn't get any of that back. But I didn't need that. I still got other things back. He was proud of me, the fact that I was in Australia, and I was creating this life for myself. And I knew that I just needed to just let that go and love him, bless him, and forgive him, and send him on his way. And it was just beautiful. I cried that evening. It was his morning, my night. And it was just like this weight had lifted off me. And I went to bed just feeling so relieved of having some sort of closure in my life. And then in the morning, I woke up, because obviously he'd had all day to do some stalking, and at that point, I did have a Facebook page. And before I went to bed, I wrote a blog, because that's what I was doing at the time. So I wrote a massive blog with everything that had happened during our marriage, everything that had happened with that message back and forward. So after someone did some stalking for the entire day, I woke up to some amount of aggressive, threatening messages. And I thought, oh my God, what have I done? And the threatening messages were against my family. And I'm living in Australia. And I thought, and he's threatening to, if I don't take the blog down. And in that split second, I went back to that person in the previous picture. And then thought, no, he doesn't control me anymore. I'm not going to be that person anymore. I'm going to be fearless, and I'm going to step up, and I'm going to keep the blog there. So I sent him on his way. I blocked him off of everything and thought, no, the blog will stay. And I'm so glad that it did. Because this person here, Jennifer, we weren't connected on Facebook, but we had a mutual friend in Scotland. And Jennifer was sent my blog. And Jennifer messaged me 2 days later, and she had left her partner that she was with. And she had thanked me for stepping up and being fearless to share my story in a blog. And she was fearless to message me to tell me that. 6 weeks later, I was back home in Scotland, sitting in a coffee shop with Jennifer. And Jennifer was a mirrored reflection of me 12 years prior. And I was in the position that Karen was in, and I helped Jennifer stay away. The one special thing about me and Jennifer and the bond that we have, the person that Jennifer was going out with was my ex-husband. And because I had made contact with him, the two of them were living together. And the reason he took 2 days to get back to me was because he said to Jennifer, Melanie's got back in contact with me, and do you think she wants to get back with me? Really? And Jennifer, then she read the blog, and Jennifer knew that it was time to move on. She knew that life for her was never going to change, because it didn't for me. And I was recently back home in Scotland just a couple of months ago, and I met up with Jennifer again, and we coffee in the exact same place that we'd met up 5 years before. And it was amazing because me and Jennifer have been really good friends ever since that day. And I've been able to really be there for her, even at the other side of the world, doing exactly what Karen did for me. And we have got an amazing bond and friendship that we have together. And she is so grateful for the fact that I stepped up to be a fearless person, to write that blog. And you know, until this day, neither of us know who their mutual friend is that sent the blog. Because as soon as they sent it to Jennifer, they blocked themselves. So we have no idea. We think it must be someone that's tied to him. And they knew that she needed to get that blog. So it's amazing how life goes, isn't it? When we step up to be that fearless person, it becomes a ripple effect. 12 years later, after Karen helped me, I helped Jennifer. Now, we don't know who Jennifer might go up and help. So that's what when we become fearless speakers and we step up, just to ask someone if they're okay, you never know what the ripple effect is to how we end up making a difference in other people's lives. Because of Karen helped me, I now stand on stage and I help other women individually become fearless in an area of their life. So I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to take you through a 3-step process that I teach my clients. It just gives you that foundation when the nerves kick in and you make that split-second decision to ask the person if they're okay or to share your story. So closing your eyes and take a deep breath in and relax your body. And I want you to visualize an achievement that you have to date for yourself, personally or professionally, that you are proud of. Then take another deep breath in and relax some more. And I want you to set an intention for a person in your life that you feel that you would like to be able to either share your story with or ask them to share theirs. a deep breath in and relax some more. And finally, I'd like you to recall a special moment from the past that fills you with pleasure and joy. Someone or something that makes you feel like smiling. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And I'd like to invite every single one of you ladies here today. I want you to think about becoming a fearless speaker or person in an area of your life from today to empower, inspire change in your life and other women's lives. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, this brings us